The Type 22 class frigates, also known as Broadsword-class, had a relatively short career in the Royal Navy, but they managed to make their marks on the British naval history. These surface combatants of this class evolved in 3 batches based on real combat experiences. Now, we are investigating the Type 22 class, one of the legendary frigates of Her Majesty. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel before we start, and give us a thumbs up if you like our video. To be notified of our new videos, please click the bell button. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all the likes, comments, and shares. The Type 22 class is not a warship as iconic as the Leander class frigates or the Sheffield class destroyers when we look at the last 50 years of the Royal Navy. The surface combatants of this class had a relatively short career in Her Majesty's service due to the unfortunate timing of their commissioning. The story of the Type 22 class goes back to the mid-1960s. After the general election of 1964, the new Labour government of the UK decided to cut back the defence budget. 2 years later, it cancelled the CVA-01 program, which meant that the Royal Navy would not operate a fleet carrier at the end of 1970s. The UK would only have small aircraft carriers, defined as aviation-capable anti-submarine warfare cruisers at that time, in the 1980s. So, the fleet had to be reorganized. According to the new plan, the Type 42 class destroyers and the Type 22 class frigates would replace the County class and the Leander class, respectively. At that time, many naval experts considered naval guns obsolete due to the advancements in missile technologies. In line with the time spirit, the British naval engineers intended to design a missile frigate without a main naval gun. The 114mm Mark VI naval guns and the 40mm L-60 air defense guns of the many previous Leander-class vessels had already been replaced by MM-38 Exocet missiles or Ikara anti-submarine missiles and the Sea-Cat air defense missiles. The Type 22 class was the first to be designed in the UK from the beginning without a large caliber gun turret. The new surface combatant would be larger than the existing frigates to accommodate more electronics and have good sea-keeping capability. At that time, many air forces still used conventional bombs for anti-surface warfare. Also, the Soviet anti-ship missiles of the time were generally big as jet fighters. In the reorganized Royal Navy, the Harriers and the Type 42 class destroyers would provide area air defense. A close-range air defense would be sufficient for an anti-submarine warfare frigate, so the Type 22 class would carry the Seawolf missiles with 5 km range. Initially, the Brits evaluated conducting a joint program with the Dutch, but the Netherlands, which required a 112-meter frigate which could fit into the dry dock at Den Helder, did not also want to use the Seawolf missile. Thus, the UK continued to work alone. Still, the British engineers worked on making the Type 22 class shorter. The 4 machinery rooms were laid out in tandem and positioned as far aft as possible to reduce shaft length. However, even though the design phase of the new frigate was completed, the Royal Navy did not order it instantly due to the vessel's high cost. Initially, on paper, the Type 22 class was 3 times more expensive than the Type 12 class and 1.5 times more than the Type 21 class. Still, the UK ordered the first 4 vessels between 1974 and 1977. Yet, when the construction phase began, the price of the frigate jumped more than twice. A Type 22 class frigate was even more expensive than a Type 42 class destroyer. The first ship of the class, HMS Broadsword, was laid down on February 7, 1975, launched on May 12, 1976, and commissioned on May 4, 1979. She was a Batch 1 variant. The Royal Navy commissioned 3 other frigates in this version between 1980 and 1982. All previous Type 21 class frigates had names starting with letter A. For this reason, the Type 22 Batch 1s were given names starting with the letter B. The hull is of all-welded mild steel. The superstructure is mainly steel, although some aluminum is also used. There is easy access to machinery rooms for maintenance and equipment replacement. The Type 22 class was designed to chase the Soviet nuclear submarines in rough sea conditions. It can maintain 24 knot speed in the Sea State 5, which is also the maximum effective sonar speed of the frigate. Yet, it is known that at that speed and in bad weather conditions, the effectiveness of the hull sonar reduces dramatically. The British Type 22 Batch 1 class frigates had two sextuple Seawolf air defense missile launchers with 60 reload, 4 Exocet MM-38 anti-ship missiles, and two 324mm triple torpedo tubes. During the service time, the Royal Navy replaced the 40mm L-60 guns with the 30mm DS-30Bs and added two 20mm GAM BO-1 guns to the ships. Brazil bought these four frigates in 1994. Initially, the Brazilian Navy intended to replace the forward Exocet launchers with a single 57mm SAK Mark II gun. But later, it gave up this plan and the ships were equipped with MM-40 Exocet missiles. Also, two 40mm Bofors L-70 guns have replaced the DS-30Bs. The Type 22 Batch 1s have a 20.5 meters long and 14.8 meters wide helipad. As the Royal Navy did, the Brazilian Navy deployed the Lynx helicopters onto the Type 22 class. Only BNS Rademaker, former HMS Battleaxe, is still operational, while the others were decommissioned. The Type 22 Batch 1 class frigate has a 273-person crew. Its standard displacement is 3,556 tons, while its fully loaded displacement is 4,000 tons. The ship has a length of 131.2 meters, a beam of 14.8 meters, and a draught of 6 meters. The combined gas or gas propulsion system consists of two 25,000 horsepower Rolls-Royce Olympus TM3B and two 4,950 horsepower Rolls-Royce Tyne RM1C gas turbines. Its top speed is 30 knots. The Type 22 Batch 1 has a range of 4,500 nautical miles, in other words 8,334 kilometers. The first ship of the Batch 2s was the HMS Boxer, which was laid down on November 1, 1979, launched on June 17, 1981, and commissioned on December 22, 1983. Initially, all frigates of this batch would be given the name starting with the letter B. However, the Royal Navy gave up this naming model after the Falklands War. It ordered two Type 22 Batch 2s as the replacement ships for the lost destroyers HMS Sheffield and HMS Coventry, and gave their names to the new frigates. The Batch 2 Type 22s were longer than the previous variant to give more space for new electronic warfare systems, a larger operations room, and the Type 2031Z towed sonar. Also, these six frigates had sharply racketed sterns. Besides, the new CACS-1 computer-assisted command system replaced the CAA-IS of the Batch 1s. The larger hull also improved the seakeeping. The first two vessels had the same propulsion system as the Batch 1s. The last four frigates were fitted with two 18,725 horsepower Rolls-Royce Marine Spey SM-1A and two 4,850 horsepower Rolls-Royce Tyne RM-3C cruise gas turbines in KOGAK configuration. They were also 2.04 meters longer to have a larger hangar and a longer helipad, so the last four Batch 2s could accommodate a Sea King or a NH-101 Merlin helicopter. These ships had the same armament as the Batch 1s in the Royal Navy service. When the UK decommissioned them, one was scrapped, two sunk as targets, and the others sold to Chile and Romania. HMS Sheffield is now serving in the Chilean Navy as CS Almirante Williams. She has one 76mm and two 20mm Oerlikon guns, 8 RGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles, one Barak 1 air defense missile launcher, and two 324mm triple torpedo tubes. As the flagship of the Chilean Navy, CS Almirante Williams can operate an AS-532C Cougar helicopter. Romania bought HMS London and HMS Coventry from the UK in 2003. The Romanian Navy has named them Regina Maria and Regele Ferdinand respectively. These frigates, which have only one 76mm gun and torpedo tubes as armaments, can operate an IAR-330 Naval helicopter. The complement, speed and range of the Batch 2s are the same as the Batch 1s. The Type 22 Batch 2 class frigate has a 273-person crew. Its standard displacement is 4,100 tons, while its fully loaded displacement is 4,800 tons. The first two ships have a length of 146.06 meters, a beam of 14.8 meters, and a draught of 6.4 meters. After the 1982 Falklands War, the Royal Navy staff had to acknowledge the importance of the naval gun. Due to the changes in the tactical thought, the UK ordered a new variant of the Type 22 class called Batch 3. The first of this batch, HMS Cornwall, was laid down on September 19, 1983, launched on October 14, 1985, and commissioned on April 23, 1988. They had the same propulsion system as the last 4 Batch 2s. All frigates of this batch would be given names starting with the letter C. These 4 ships were the biggest Type 22 class variant and the largest frigates built to date for the Royal Navy. Still, the most significant change was the armament. They didn't have the 30mm DS-30Bs or the two 20mm GAM BO1 guns, and one 114mm Mark 8 naval gun replaced the forward Exocet MM38 launchers. Also, the Batch 3s were fitted with 8 RGM-84 anti-ship missiles and one 30mm 7-barrel Goalkeeper close-in weapon system. These ships, which kept the Seawolf missiles, were general-purpose frigates rather than anti-submarine warfare ones. They had facilities for a flag officer and his staff. All Batch 3 frigates were decommissioned in 2011. The speed and range of the Batch 3s were the same as the Batch 1s and Batch 2s. The Type 22 Batch 3 class frigate had a 250-person crew. Its standard displacement was 4,200 tons, while its fully loaded displacement was 4,900 tons. The ship had a length of 148.1 meters, a beam of 14.8 meters, and a draught of 6.4 meters. Its top speed was 30 knots. During the 1982 Falklands War, HMS Broadsword shot down one Dagger and shared an A4C Skyhawk kill. She was providing close air defense to HMS Coventry. Due to a technical malfunction in her Seawolf missile system, HMS Broadsword could not protect the HMS Coventry, and 2 Argentine Skyhawks sank her. 2 helicopters that took off from the HMS Brilliant were involved in attacking the Argentine submarine ARA Santa Fe. This frigate also shot down 3 A4 Skyhawks. The Lynx helicopter of HMS Brazen performed attacks on the Iraqi fast patrol boats in the 1991 Gulf War. Also, HMS London was the flagship of the Royal Navy's task force during the war. During the 2003 Iraq War, HMS Chatham became the first British warship to fire her guns in anger since the Falklands War. During the 2011 military intervention in Libya, HMS Cumberland evacuated 454 persons from Libya and then joined the blockade on this country. The Type 22 class survived the war, but not the peace. After the First Cold War, the Soviet submarine threat vanished. So, the Royal Navy no longer needed a dedicated anti-submarine warfare frigate. All Batch 1s and Batch 2s were decommissioned soon. The general-purpose Batch 3s continued their duties for a while. However, the UK began to sell even the newer Type 23 class frigates. So, it didn't take long for the Royal Navy to dispose all of the Type 22 Batch 3s. If we were to speculate, we could say that if the First Cold War continued, the Type 22 class would have been modernized and served Their Majesty for many more years. Yet, they were one of the last examples of the previous generation. These frigates could not have competed with the new stealth surface combatants with vertical launching system. Still, we admit that the Type 22 class successfully fought, and undoubtedly they're a legend. Thanks for watching our video. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of our new videos. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all the likes, comments and shares.